Hey, what's happening, people? This is you-know-who once again, Greg, a.k.a. Crazy G, for NECR New England Concert Reviews, and today I have an incredible guest. He, to me, is iconic with the band he plays in. They've sold millions of albums, have many great hits, and obtained a fan base in the millions worldwide. And he is none other than Phil Collen, vocalist, guitarist for the rock band Def Leppard. Hello, welcome, and thanks for taking the time to speak with us here at NECR. How are you doing, and what's the good word?
Oh, I'm doing great, thank you. Yeah, it's all great. I'm up in Sacramento at the moment with Tesla. I'm producing their new album, and they're going to be coming on tour with us in about a month when we kick off in New England, actually. So, yeah, that's going to be a blast on my mum's birthday, the 8th of April.
Nice. Happy birthday, Mum.
She's passed away 17 years ago, but it's still her birthday, but yeah.
I'm the same way with mine, so I got to be honest with you. This is an absolute honor for me. I've listened to Def Leppard since day one. Def Leppard came on the scene during the rise of several bands of that particular genre. In your own opinion, what factors do you think contributed to the band's success and individuality for so many years?
I think our work ethic and integrity was literally, I'm talking about parents, was actually given to us by our parents. They were World War II, survivors. They survived the Blitz. Our country got blown up and everything. I remember all these crazy stories. So I think our families installed this very working class value system on us, and I think we kind of brought that into the world of music and how we approach the band and the business and everything. We didn't let things bother us too much. We really worked hard. I think the integrity and all of that stuff has allowed us to still be doing it. I'll be 60 at the end of this year, and I do feel like I'm 25, and it's amazing. I think that inspiration that you get from all of that kind of constant, I love what I do. We all do. It's amazing. It's payment. It's a reward for being able to work so hard and just put all the effort in. It's really cool. I love it.
Would you say there are any other attributes that has sustained Def Leppard over time that is, still keeping the band touring and attracting crowds as much as ever?
Yeah, it's real. We're a better band than we were. Every year we get better. That's actually why we put this new DVD out, because everyone's going, guys, you should record this. This is the best tour we've ever seen. You've never sounded this good. This show's never looked this good. So we said, okay, we recorded a show in Detroit. Just put that out, and it is. I believe that, because we constantly tour, constantly record, and constantly getting bombarded with inspiration. You get better. I'm a better player than I was last year. I can sing better than I did last year, and I like that trajectory. That kind of going up and actually just getting better and improving, and not with age, but with experience. And I like pointing that out. There's a big difference between aging and experience, and I think if you take that for what it is, you can just be better, and it feels great. I've got to say, it feels great to be that inspired.
I bet it does, and we're going to touch upon that live DVD in a couple seconds here. Pertaining to your audience, do you feel that the demographic component has changed? In other words, have fans of the next generation, quote unquote, been coming out more to see a show compared to, say, fans of 10 to 20 years ago?
Definitely. We had a bit of a dip in the 90s. It kind of, the music trends changed and everything, and it kind of subsided a little bit, but it's like banging back with a vengeance. And there's part of that is that it's the last of the Mohicans, and a lot of bands are falling off. But the other thing is that integrity. We've never split up. We've never kind of had a reunion tour, and we've constantly put music out. And I think, and we've got such an amazing history of great songs, that you still hear on the radio and on TV and God knows what, so it's pretty cool. It's that thing. And the demographic, it's still from 5 to 75. You still, at our peak in hysteria, when we put that record out literally 30 years ago, that was the demographic. It was 5 years old to 75. And you would see, obviously a lot more teenagers and younger people, but it's still that same demographic, and it's becoming more. I think there's less live bands, there's less iconic bands, and I think that also is a big draw to new fans as well. So it's pretty cool to be out there.
I would say it is for you guys. You've been hitting it hard as long as I've been listening to you. You guys came out, how long has it been? 1980? 1979?
Well, the first album came out in 1980. The band formed in 77, but there wasn't really anything. The first record came out in 80. I joined in 1982 on the Pyromania album, and then and that's been like 34 years ago, I think. So it's it's a long time. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome though. You guys, it seems like you haven't lost a step. In your opinion, why do you think hard/metal rock lyrics translate so well into a ballad and or a love song?
Because well, not really metal, I'd say, but I think love songs and ballads, whether it's Whitney Houston doing a cover of a Dolly Parton song, or Def Leppard doing Love Bites, there's a similar emotional attachment. So I don't think it's really hard rock or metal. I just think that it's a song. It can be, like I said, a country song. Dolly Parton wrote "We'll Always Love You," and Whitney obviously had the smash hit with it, and it's a similar kind of thing. It's actually tugging at the heartstrings, emotion. So it can be any genre of music, whether it's Dolly and country or death metal, whatever. It comes from the same thing. It's tugging at an emotional heartstring.
Def Leppard's most recent releases include a studio album and a live album. Def Leppard's self-titled release came out early last year, and then the Live from Detroit DVD release in July of last year. Was this the plan from the start before you guys started on this tour?
No plan at all. In fact, when we went in to record the album, we thought we were just going to record one song. We didn't have a label, we didn't have a business agenda or record company executive going, "Hey guys, we need you to do that." We actually made that record because we wanted to make new Def Leppard music, and for the artistic reward, really. So no, it was just incredible the fact that how that come about, because we was writing songs and we had a few more, and they were like, "Whoa, we got an album's worth. Let's just keep going with it." And it was pure. It was coming from a pure place. The DVD, like I said, it came from the fact that everyone's going, "This is the best we've ever seen, you guys," and we decided that the first date on that tour to sell out would be the one that we'd record, and that was Detroit. So we didn't even know any of this stuff was going to happen. So it was kind of not planned at all.
The studio release, Def Leppard, is packed full of your style, Def Leppard's style. One particular track is Man Enough. This track is definitely different in its sound. What can you tell us on how this track came about? Because it doesn't seem like the typical Def Leppard.
Sure, actually, I have another band called Delta Deep, which is kind of almost like gospel hard rock. It's like I said, Robert DeLeo plays bass on it. Debbie Blackwell Cook is the most amazing singer. She's a gospel singer. She's 63 and she's my wife's godmother, and she's been singing since she was 2. We were writing songs for our first album, Delta Deep, and I guess I was in that kind of mode. We hit on 70s funk and all that stuff. So when I started writing Man Enough, I was actually kind of in that headspace. It was kind of 70s funk, really, and really that's what I was trying to go for. I had the bass riff going and had the whole thing kind of mapped out, and I played it to Joe, and he just started singing. He came back with Man Enough, and all of a sudden we had this song. But it really reminds me of a 70s funk song, and that's really what that song really was. And I like I said, inspired by working with the Delta Deep stuff, really.
It definitely has that style and feel to it. I have to agree with that. Wings of an Angel also shows the band's incredible versatility. What can you say about that song? And by the way, I do love that track.
Thank you. It's another one that I came up with initially. We was recording. We was in Vegas doing Viva Hysteria. We were there for a month actually, and while they were filming it, they came in the little studio we had set up, and they go, "Okay, guys, we want to see you recording a song," and we're like, we haven't got anything. So I said, "Well, I've got this kind of idea that's been kicking around," and so that ended up being Wings of an Angel, and we started performing that and kind of recording it, if you like, and that's what ended up being that song. So that's really where it started off. It started off with a demo that I had, and it's changed over time into that song. Yeah.
Nice.
So again, with nothing thought out, it just kind of naturally kind of morphed into what it ended up becoming.
Let's talk about Def Leppard's 2017 tour coming up next month with Poison and Tesla. First of all, you guys toured with these guys way back in the day. What's the consensus of Def Leppard reuniting with these artists to be a part of this tour?
Well, me personally, I actually see it as a celebration of integrity. You have these 3 bands, and they're all, for most part, they are original members. It's like, this is the same Def Leppard that put out Hysteria. Well, obviously Steve Clark passed away, but Vivian's in there, but it's the same band. It's not like a bunch of different guys in there. Tesla, it's the same band, with one exception. Dave Rude's in the band now, and the 4 guys in Poison are the same 4 guys that started Poison. So it's, like I said, a celebration of integrity, and a lot of other bands, disappear and they can't actually maintain that. So this is as real as it gets. This is real integrity. It's real band doing their stuff. It's not karaoke by any means, and it's also a tribute to being being the last one standing. You know, a lot of bands are falling off by the wayside and whatever, but, you know, these three bands are here and they're giving it some. So I'm really appreciating that. And like I said, yes, a celebration of integrity.
I got to tell you, that's going to be one kick-ass tour. Got to be honest with you, because again, you guys, Poison and Tesla, those were my bands coming up from a teenager to a young adult, and you guys are all still as strong as ever. But let's move on. We're getting low on time here. This tour starts here in New England, April 8th at the SNHU Arena in Manchester, New Hampshire. The second one is April 12th at Mohegan Sun in Uncasville, Connecticut. What can you tell us about these two particular shows, and what can the fans expect from these shows?
Manchester by the Sea, right? Like the movie.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's it, okay, yeah. It's really cool. We've started out in the Boston area and stuff like that before, you know, and it's really just a great area. I love coming back. So the tour and the show is going to be something like, if you've seen our DVD, we're trying to kind of share that with everyone. We're actually bringing that show to everyone live that didn't see it, because there were so many places in America that didn't actually get to see that. So that's a chance for that. And Poison hasn't been out on tour since 2012, and Tesla are just going from strength to strength. You know, like I said, I'm producing their new album, but they just come back from a winter tour that was fantastically, amazingly successful. So you got all this power and energy that's harnessed, and we just bring it to a lot of places that haven't seen us before. Mohegan Sun, you know, we played that on the last tour, but not with Poison. So again, you know, it's going to be, we just keep stepping it up. You know, the energy, everything, the show and everything is just going to get better and better and better. So we're just really pleased that we can actually, you know, bring that to everyone.
Yeah, that's definitely sweet. I would have never imagined 20 years ago, well, I shouldn't say that. I wouldn't have thought Def Leppard, Poison, and Tesla would all be on the same card, because you guys were all headliners way back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
20 years later, you guys are all doing it together, so it's great, and I think it's a wonderful thing that you guys are getting together for this tour. I'm just going to wrap it up with one final question. Other than this tour, is there anything else on Def Leppard's plate we might not know about that could be in the foreseeable future?
Not really. We're actually gonna be out next year, and it's gonna be a world tour. So we'll probably have some new music as well. Probably not an album's worth, but there will definitely be some new Def Leppard music next year as well. So yeah. Awesome.
Well, hey, you know, we've gone over a little bit here, and I will cut you loose right now. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Phil Collen, guitarist, vocalist for the iconic rock band Def Leppard. I want to thank you once again. NECR thanks you. I wish you the best of luck with this tour, and I hope you guys keep pumping this stuff out, because you haven't lost a step. You really haven't.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and we are. We're still here. We love it. It's just what we do.
Cool. Well, good luck on the tour.
All right, thank you. Take care.
That was Phil Collen, vocalist, guitarist for the iconic rock band Def Leppard. Check them out. They're coming out Manchester, New Hampshire, SNHU Center on April 8th and April 12th at Mohegan Sun in Uncasville, Connecticut. You gotta see them. They're with Poison and Tesla. Yeah. That's gonna do it for this one again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Greg, aka Crazy G, for NECR New England Concert Reviews, and I will be back. Later. Peace.